The wind whipped through the Chicago streets like a living thing, angry and cold, snapping my scarf against my face as I half walked, half ran toward the brownstone we'd bought together in Lincoln Park just 3 years ago. It was December 12, 2025, the kind of night where the holiday lights on every tree and porch tried so hard to pretend the world was still soft and kind, but the wind didn't care. It cut straight through my wool coat, through my skin, all the way to the bone. My phone had buzzed hours earlier with a voicemail I'd listened to 3 times on the red line, each replay making my stomach drop lower. Jason's voice had been low, almost a whisper, the way he used to talk when he leaned across the pillow at 2 a.m. and told me he couldn't imagine life without me. Except tonight the words were different. Hey babe, don't come home tonight. Stay at your sister's or crash at Lisa's. Work emergency. I'll explain later. Love you. Work emergency. At home. On a Friday night 2 weeks before Christmas. I'm Laura Jenkins, 34 years old, Senior Marketing Director. The woman who can sell mindfulness apps to stressed-out millennials and still make it to hot yoga by 6:30. I'm the woman who believed in us. I'm the woman who, against every instinct screaming in my chest, turned my key in the lock and stepped inside anyway. The foyer smelled like pine and cinnamon and betrayal. The Christmas tree we decorated together last weekend glowed in the living room, its white lights blinking like a heartbeat. Our honeymoon ornament from Maui swayed gently, catching the glow. Upstairs, muffled laughter. A woman's voice, light and teasing. My boots were soaked from the snow. I slipped them off so they wouldn't make a sound on the hardwood we'd refinished ourselves during the pandemic, back when we thought lockdown was the hardest thing we'd ever faced together. I climbed the stairs one agonizing step at a time, each creak louder than the last in my ears. The bedroom door was cracked open, candlelight flickering across the hallway runner. I pushed it with 2 fingers, and everything I thought I knew about my life shattered into a million sharp pieces. Jason, shirtless, sheets tangled around his waist. Mia, his coworker, the one with the perfect beach waves and the laugh that carried across open-plan offices, naked beside him, one leg thrown over his, her manicured hand tracing slow circles on his chest. A half-empty bottle of the 2018 Camus we'd been saving for our anniversary sat on my nightstand next to 2 wine glasses. Their clothes were strewn across my cream-colored rug like crime scene evidence. I must have made a sound because Jason's head snapped toward me. His hazel eyes, the ones I'd stared into when we said, "I do," went wide with pure animal panic. Laura. My phone slipped from my hand and clattered onto the hardwood like a gunshot. The room froze. Mia yanked the sheet higher, her mouth forming a perfect O of shock. Jason scrambled upright, clutching a pillow to his lap like it could hide what I'd already seen. "You weren't supposed to come home," he whispered, the same whisper he'd used on the voicemail. The words hit harder than any slap. I wasn't supposed to come home. To my own house. To the life we'd built. "Get out," I said. My voice didn't even sound like mine. It was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes right before a hurricane makes landfall. "Baby, listen. Both of you. Get out." Mia was already moving, snatching her lace bra from the floor, mumbling apologies that dissolved into nothing. Jason stood there in his boxers, the body I'd kissed 1,000 times now foreign and repulsive. "Laura, please. It was a mistake. Too much wine, the merger stress." I laughed. Came out jagged and ugly. "You told me not to come home, Jason. You planned this. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice." I turned and walked downstairs on legs that didn't feel attached to my body. I heard him behind me, pulling on jeans, pleading. I opened the front door and stood there in my socks while the Chicago wind tore through the house. Snow swirled in. "Pack a bag. You have 5 minutes." He tried to touch me. I flinched so hard I nearly fell. "Don't," I said. "Don't you dare touch me ever again." He left with a duffel bag and tears on his face that I refused to believe were real. The door shut. The lock clicked. And then the silence hit me like a freight train. I slid down the wall in the foyer, knees to chest, and cried until there was nothing left but dry, wrenching sobs that hurt my ribs. The Christmas tree lights kept blinking. On, off, on, off, like they were trying to signal something I no longer had the strength to read. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for the candles upstairs to burn low. Long enough for the snow to pile against the front door. Long enough to replay every single moment of the last 4 years, looking for the exact second I should have known. We met in 2021 at a rooftop networking event in River North, back when the city was just reopening and everyone was desperate to touch grass and other human beings again. I was 29, freshly promoted, wearing an emerald wrap dress I'd bought on sale at Nordstrom because it made me feel powerful. He was 31, newly transferred from Manhattan, standing by the bar in a navy suit that fit like it was tailored by angels. He told me later he saw me laugh at something my coworker said and decided right then he had to know my name. We talked for 3 hours that night, about growing up in small towns, me outside Milwaukee, him in upstate New York, about how we both secretly hated kale but pretended to like it because everyone in the city was obsessed, about our mutual love for dive bars with good jukeboxes and deep dish pizza eaten straight from the pan at 1 a.m. He asked for my number before the event ended, texted me before I even got home. Had the best night in forever. Deep dish tomorrow? Our first official date was a Cubs game at Wrigley. It was April, still freezing, and we wore matching fleece blankets like capes. He bought me a hot dog with everything on it and screamed louder than anyone when Rizzo hit a grand slam. When the fireworks went off after the win, he kissed me like it was the most natural thing in the world. I still remember the taste of beer and mustard and hope. We moved fast. 6 months later, he asked me to move into his Gold Coast rental. A year after that, he proposed on the Adler Planetarium sky deck at sunset, the entire skyline glowing behind him while he got down on one knee and promised me forever. We married in the Chicago Botanic Garden in late September, surrounded by dahlias and 200 of our favorite people. My dad walked me down the aisle to an acoustic version of Lover and cried harder than I did. Jason's vows made everyone ugly cry. He promised to choose me every single day. I believed him with every cell in my body. We bought the Lincoln Park brownstone 6 months later with wedding money and sheer stubbornness. We painted the kitchen ourselves 3 coats of agreeable gray, because we couldn't agree on anything else, and argued over backsplash tile like it was the most important decision of our lives. We hosted Friendsgiving with 20 people crammed around a table that barely fit 10. We adopted a rescue mutt named Wrigley who chewed exactly 1 Louboutin, and then became the love of our lives. We were the couple people posted about with hashtag goals. We were solid, or so I thought. The signs had been there. I just dressed them up in excuses the way I dressed up in blazers for client meetings. The late nights that stretched into mornings. The phone always face down on the table. The way he stopped reaching for me in his sleep. The sudden interest in team happy hours that somehow never included spouses. The faint trace of perfume on his collar that wasn't mine, something expensive and floral that made my nose itch with suspicion. I'd asked once, casually, over Sunday pancakes at the bongo room, "Everything okay at work? You seem distant." He'd smiled too wide, flipped a pancake, changed the subject to the Bears game. I let it go because I hated confrontation and loved him more than I loved being right. Mia joined his team in early 2025. I met her at the company holiday party at the Art Institute, green velvet dress, contagious laugh, the kind of woman who made rooms tilt toward her. She shook my hand and said, "Jason talks about you all the time. You're even prettier than he said." I laughed, flattered, clueless. She asked about my job, complimented my earrings, took a selfie with both of us for the company Slack. I went home and told Jason she seemed cool. He agreed too quickly. Now I was sitting on my foyer floor realizing cool had been sharing my husband for at least 6 months. I don't remember getting from the floor to the couch, but suddenly I was wrapped in the throw blanket his mom knitted us for our first Christmas married, drinking straight from the Camus bottle because glasses felt too optimistic. I opened his iPad, he'd never changed the passcode, still my birthday, and there it was. Everything. Hotel reservations at the Langham. A secret email account. Photos. So many photos. Mia in lingerie I would never wear. Jason kissing her neck in a mirror selfie dated the weekend he told me he had a conference in Nashville. A note saved in his phone. Reasons to stay with Elle versus reasons to leave. My name had 4 bullet points. Hers had 12. I threw up in the powder room. Then I sat on the cold tile and cried until my throat was raw. My phone buzzed incessantly. Jason. Laura, please let me explain. Jason, it didn't mean anything. Jason. I'm at the Palmer house. Can I come home? Jason, I love you. Only you. I blocked him. Then unblocked him. Then threw the phone across the room so hard the screen cracked. Morning came gray and merciless. The snow had stopped, leaving the city muffled in white. I called in sick to work, actually sick, the kind that makes your bones ache. My boss texted back a heart emoji and told me to take all the time I needed. I stared at the Christmas tree until the lights blurred into watercolor. Lisa showed up at noon with a bottle of Veuve, a sleeve of Oreos, and murder in her eyes. I brought weapons, she announced, kicking the door shut behind her. Also, I may have told him on Instagram Live that he has a small dick. Hope that's okay. I laughed for the first time in 12 hours. It hurt, but it was real. We drank champagne out of coffee mugs and deleted every photo of him from my phone while Wrigley whined at our feet, confused why his dad hadn't come home. Lisa stayed until 3 a.m., holding my hair when I cried again, promising me the kind of revenge that ends with him crying in a Tesla. The next weeks were a special kind of hell wrapped in tinsel. I moved like a ghost through my own life. Slept in the guest room because I couldn't stand our bed. Burned the sheets in the backyard fire pit, and danced around the flames like a witch reclaiming her power. Avoided grocery shopping because I couldn't face picking out his favorite cereal. Lost 8 pounds because food tasted like ash. Christmas was supposed to be at our house this year. 20 people. Prime rib. My mom's famous cheesecake. Instead, I flew home to Wisconsin on December 23rd and told my parents everything in the kitchen while my dad sharpened a hunting knife he had no intention of using but definitely wanted Jason to imagine. My mom held me like I was 5 again and said, "You are not broken, baby. You are waking up." I stayed 10 days. We baked a dozen kinds of cookies. I gained 4 pounds back on my mom's lasagna. My nieces taught me TikTok dances. My brother threatened to fly to Chicago and handle it. I let them love me until I could breathe without feeling like glass in my lungs. I came home on January 2nd to a city that felt both familiar and foreign. The tree was still up because I couldn't bear to take it down alone. I did it anyway, one ornament at a time, crying over our first Christmas bulb we bought in New York the year we got engaged. Therapy started January 6th. Dr. Patel's office smelled like eucalyptus and second chances. She told me betrayal trauma is a real diagnosis, that my nervous system was in fight or flight, that healing wasn't linear. I believed her because I had no choice. I read every book. Leave a cheater, gain a life. The Body Keeps the Score. Untamed. I listened to podcasts until my ears hurt. Where should we begin? Unlocking Us. We can do hard things. I joined Reddit communities where thousands of women told stories that sounded exactly like mine, and somehow kept living. I journaled like my life depended on it. January 15, 2026. I am not the woman he cheated on. I am the woman who survived him. Work became my sanctuary. I threw myself into a rebranding campaign for a major athletic wear company, think Loyalman's edgier cousin, and poured every ounce of rage and resilience into it. My team noticed. My boss noticed. In February, I was promoted to VP of Marketing with a salary bump that made me cry in the bathroom stall. I cut my hair. Not a trim, a full lob with face-framing layers that made me look like I could ruin someone's life with a single raised eyebrow. I bought red lipstick called Vengeance. I joined a boxing gym in River North and punched a heavy bag until my knuckles bled, imagining his face with every jab. Dating apps were terrifying. I swiped left on anyone who looked like him. Had coffee with a divorce attorney named Ryan who made me laugh so hard I forgot to check my phone for 3 hours. We went on 4 dates. I wasn't ready for more, but I was ready to remember I was still desirable. Friends became my chosen family. Lisa organized Jason is dead to US parties with themed cocktails. We did pottery and painting in a rage room where I smashed an entire set of dishes while screaming every curse word I knew. We ran the Shamrock Shuffle 8K together in March, crossing the finish line covered in green glitter and sweat and the kind of joy that felt like victory. I started an anonymous Instagram account called @ShatteredToStronger. Posted quotes, memes, voice notes about healing. Within weeks I had 10,000 followers, women messaging me from Texas, California, London saying I love you, thank you, me too. It saved me as much as it saved them. Spring came slow to Chicago, but it came. The trees along the lakefront bloomed pink and white. I ran the lakefront trail at sunrise, AirPods blasting Taylor Swift's entire discography on shuffle, crying and laughing at the same time. In May, the revenge I never planned arrived gift-wrapped. His firm's annual gala was held on Navy Pier. Fireworks over the lake, black tie, the works. A client invited me as her +1. I wore a backless red gown that cost more than my first car and heels sharp enough to draw blood. They were there. Jason in a tux. Mia in champagne silk. A diamond on her left hand that caught every light in the room like it was screaming, "Look at me." I waited until they were surrounded by colleagues, then walked straight up, champagne flute steady in my hand. "Congratulations on the engagement," I said, voice honey sweet. I always said he moves fast when he finds something he wants. Jason went white. Mia's smile faltered. I leaned in close enough for only them to hear. "Enjoy the ring. And the lies. And the karma." I turned and walked away before either could speak. The next Monday, an anonymous envelope landed on HR's desk, screenshots, hotel receipts, the works. Fraternization policies are strict in finance. By Friday, Jason had been quietly moved to a satellite office in Schaumburg. Mia resigned to pursue other opportunities. I didn't smile when I heard. I just felt lighter. Summer found me in a new loft in the West Loop. Floor-to-ceiling windows, exposed brick. A balcony where I drank coffee and watched the sunrise paint the skyline gold. I adopted a second dog, a goofy golden retriever named Soul. I said yes to a second date with Ethan, the architect I met at a rooftop yoga class, who makes me laugh until my stomach hurts and has never once made me question where he is at 11 p.m. Jason tried once more. A long email on what would have been our 4th anniversary. I read the first line, "I miss you every day," and deleted the rest without finishing. I don't miss him. I miss the version of us that never existed. But I love the version of me that does. Tonight I'm standing on my balcony, city lights glittering below like a million tiny promises kept. The wind is soft for once, carrying the faint sound of a street musician playing Sweet Home Chicago. Soul is asleep at my feet. Ethan just texted that he's bringing deep dish from Lou's and a bottle of champagne because it's Friday and we're alive. I raised my glass to the skyline. He whispered, "Don't come home tonight." But I did. And when I did, I found the door to my real life waiting on the other side.